Very happy to have my next guest join us. They have a brand new album, which in fact is their debut. It's hard to believe. Coming out in May. It is called Sha La La. Winnetka Bowling League. We have Matt and Sam from the band. Gentlemen.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Thank
you?
you so much for being here and doing this.
Yeah, we're excited. We're in a room that's very distracting for somebody with any sort of attention disorder with lots of posters.
Talking about me?
Yeah, but me too. We're just looking at every band that's ever played here, which is kind of cool.
This place
A lot
is
of history.
legendary. Do you
It
know
is.
much about the Fillmore in San Francisco?
A little bit, yeah, especially like the dead history of it all, and we're stoked to be here. It's cool.
Do you guys geek out on music history like this?
No,
Not really.
Yeah.
I if it has something to do with like Bruce Springsteen or Elvis Costello, I'm really into it and really intrigued. I don't know. I'm actually full of shit because yeah, like I walked around and looked at every poster here because I get a kick out of like Graham, whoever played here and this person and that. Like yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
super fun.
I think
if we look-
I think I used to more in like my early touring days, and then you get a little more dead inside after you've been doing it for enough years. But you still have a moment every now and then, like Gnarls Barkley poster out there. I was like, ooh, that's pretty cool.
Why do you think that is? Where did you think that moment was that you kind of lost that sense of newness? And
I don't know, like every venue kind of looks the same, and some days are better than others. And like when you've done it long enough without exactly having the most massive success, you're like, okay, like I'm ready to move to that next level of success. But like life hasn't caught up yet, so you're
Yeah.
kind of like, this is still fun.
That sounds pretty egotistical. Like you expect to just level up.
Yeah.
You got to work for it, Sam.
You saying I'm not?
You got to look at more posters and appreciate
That's what I
how
was
many
missing.
times Smash Mouth has played this room before we walk into
40
it.
times.
40 times.
Wow.
200 times.
did you have any epiphanies during the last 4 years of pandemic, post-pandemic, and things where more gratitude comes into play?
I mean, plenty of moments of like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's been really great. I think as the pandemic's kind of waned down from that time we weren't really able to do anything to now be like, oh, I do appreciate this more now, being able to do it after a period of wondering if we would again.
Which kind of ties into the themes of this album, which has been quite a while in the making in some ways, because you guys made an impression before the pandemic. And I got to say, I know that a handful of songs had come out, but I like to hide in the bathroom at parties. For some reason, resonated with me.
I'm glad to hear that. I also hate that song so much, but I'm so glad that you
But
like
see,
it.
I know about you. You hate a lot of your songs. So.
I do. That one in particular. Yeah, we started at a really weird time. Unknowingly, we started a band and then toured pretty consistently and put out some EPs, and then the pandemic hit, and everybody was in that boat though, so it's no special story. We were just all at different phases of where we were at in our careers. So for us, it was like, okay, we can't continue touring, which was starting to build, so we'll keep putting out music, but it doesn't feel like the time to put out an album because who knows how, when, if we can promote it. So yeah, definitely a long time in the making, but it felt like the right time for us. And you get to do a lot of discovery when you're putting out EPs or singles because they're low commitment. You're not having to put out this body and stand by it for a long period of time. So
If people don't like it, you can be like, yeah, I hated it too.
yeah, you get to do it and say you didn't mean it and pivot. But this feels different, and it is exciting and nerve-wracking because we do care about it, and we did put a lot into it. So it feels good to be back in what feels mostly normal in terms of touring and promoting a record and kind of start that chapter of the band.
The themes of a lot of the songs on the album look back with perspective of an older person looking back at their 20s, right? Like America in your 20s and other songs. Where do you think that, not light bulb moment, but that spark, that idea came from? Because we look back wistfully, especially during the pandemic, there was a lot of nostalgia surfacing.
I think, as a songwriter, you're always looking for what the spark is and what the thing is to write about that feels honest, or at least coming from some honest feeling or thought. And as you get older and you have a family, in my case, kids and a wife. It's a lot harder to write these like yearning romance songs because it's just not true. That being said, I also don't feel like personally I wanted to write songs that are relating to people about like, isn't it rad to be a dad or whatever? Like that's not the kind of music I connected with ever. So um, I think in trying to figure out that or what that subject could be or what that direction could be, you wind up doing a lot of retrospective thinking and studying, and I think that sort of naturally just became the theme of like, wow, what a trip this has all been, and super grateful for all of it because it led to here, but there were some amazing things about it and some terrible things about it, and it's nice to have a perspective that you only kind of get when you get to be a bit older and to be able to look back and say, okay, cool, we made it, me and that guy from back then, like we figured some of it out. So I think like most records and most artists would probably tell you, they're just splashes of, a Polaroid of where you're at that moment, and I think this record is that. It's a picture of the last year of thinking those thoughts and exploring those ideas without sounding too self-important because it's all whatever.
Yeah, I imagine that it's very journalesque, where it starts off as a lot of during quarantine, right? There was nothing going on, and we were basically holed up, and people were watching old TV shows. Suits came back out of out of nowhere.
Love Suits.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of Suits?
I got into it like last year. I only lasted like one season, but I was like, I like this, even if every episode kind of feels the same.
Wow, now he's a TV critic, this guy.
What else is new?
Were there songs, Sam, that kind of resonated with you more than others on?
Yeah, which ones did you like and not like, and why? And what parts of my personality came through in the songs that really irked you?
Is this a test?
Sam? No.
I know it's like, it sounds too obvious to say, but even just the first one, Shalala, just felt like a new representation of our band with a little bit of the wistfulness and yearning, and a little bit more serious, but with a little bit of the quirk as well. And I love when a song like that, I kind of relate that song to like other songs back in the catalog. Like Slow Dances is one that was kind of previously holding that torch and has done well for us, even though it wasn't a single. But that one in a big way, and also you mentioned it, America in Your 20s. I am in my 20s, and I do live in America, but I'm not trying to be that on the nose with it. It is it's not overtly political or anything, but just has a couple of themes in it that are definitely resonant to me, and how like I've approached getting from my early 20s when we started this band to getting close to 30 now, and just like the perspective I've had of living in America and relating that to what our economy's like versus other places around the world. And I don't know, without saying anything too on the nose, like just it brings thoughts to the front.
What do you think it is about this style of music that you're playing now that has become so fulfilling? You've mentioned how you kind of really want to put the electronic music to bed in some regards and really focus on the style of music, genres that you grew up with. You referenced Bruce and Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I mean, I think the electronic stuff was such an accidental departure that by the time it was happening and those songs were working, it was kind of, I don't know, coming to and realizing like what is this all, and it was so disorienting and weird that I think it was just a matter of time to naturally, like, people always say you come back to your roots or whatever, but it's just like, this is what I'm made of. This is the I listen to. Like, I love power pop and I love songwriters. So I think when left to my own devices versus so many years of collaborations where you're taking, other people's thoughts and wants into consideration, because that's the nature of collaborating, this is very much a selfish practice of like, oh, we get to make the stuff that we want to make, and there's not, another fan base to consider or another pre-existing record to follow. It's just we get to sort of make the rules. So I think it's just what happens when left to our own devices based on what we grew up listening to and what we still listen to and gravitate towards. So it's actually so much easier than the other thing because it's just sort of what comes naturally,
Yeah, and which is organic and the authenticity is something that you can actually hear, and especially
That's
and
kind.
read as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that word has gotten so skewered in the past bunch of years. Like the word authenticity almost defines like a genre or something. I don't know. I'm not very good at talking about songs or songwriters because I think so much of it's like pretentious and self-important when really I feel like you work on this craft, you work on this skill because you like writing songs and solving puzzles, and if you do it long enough you become good at that you're able to receive whatever's coming down at the right moments, and like you're only so responsible for songs, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I hope it's honest. It's definitely honest for the moment they were written, but that changes and motivations change, and you know, even you saying like, oh, I love one of your songs, and it like
You cringe.
I think it actually does touch on the fact that didn't feel as honest in terms of the approach. So maybe it does matter. I don't know, but yeah, I hope it's honest.
I still like the
I hope-
song. I don't care if you hate it or
Well,
not. you
that's
know?
the point of songs, though, right? Like, I mean, it's tale as old as time. Not that that song was a hit, but like people hating their hit songs or whatever, you don't choose who relates to it and why. And it actually does make me feel so much better about songs I'm embarrassed by or stuff I hate from the past when like somebody's like, that means a lot to me. I'm like, well, I can't take that away from you. And in fact, I help provide that for you. And that's a really cool feeling. And it has nothing to do with me. Like me having a feeling about it is, it's your journey with the song when you listen in the car, or that you felt seen in it, or whatever it is. And that's really humbling too, because you're like, yeah, this is very much a service job. Like it's not supposed to, it's about you and your experience with it while you're in the studio. But the second it's out, or the second it's in other people's earbuds, like it's not yours anymore, and it's not supposed to be.
Right. This debut album, I gotta say, a lot of earworms. People are in for a good time on this thing.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Handsome, the title track. Is there one that you can't wait for people to hear that hasn't been released yet?
You're gonna say either Happy Adjacent or No One's Ever Kissed You.
I think Astrology in Context is
damn.
is a song
Oh.
I'm excited for people to hear. Yeah,
The slower one.
yeah, I like ballads. I don't
Wait,
know.
context though. The album's not out yet. Have you heard the whole thing? Did it find its way to you?
I
He's a
have.
member of the
Okay.
press community.
I don't
Okay?
know how these things work. I just
He's a
show
member
up.
That's why
the
Chris
press
isn't here.
community.
He's the one that's, he
Okay.
airdropped it to me.
Ah.
Shit.
Yeah, I guess that song. I don't know. Yeah, you?
Probably No One's Ever Kissed You.
Good one. So many.
So many songs.
So many
So
songs.
many.
songs.
So many. Tunes,
So many great hits.
So many great hits.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Great to meet you,
You as well.
and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
It's the guys of Winnetka Bowling League right here on B-Sides.